instead.
Right.
But I mostly just go by Julie. I mean, if that's easier, I don't know if it's easier for people in the book world because they'll be looking for Julie Snow, and it's not going to come up. So we're going to have to like get them to. It's hard when you put your legal name on something.
Right.
You kind of have to start going by your legal name. But the only person ever called me Julianne was my mother.
Okay.
And she only called me that when I'm bad.
Right. When you get in trouble, she's like, Julianne.
Oh, no, she puts them all, she's like, it's Julianne Marie Snow. You know you're in trouble when all three names are
You got all three names thrown at you. You're in big trouble.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, you know. When the last name, and there were times, like, I have 3 brothers, and there were times she would just call all 4 of our names.
Right.
Because one of us had to be up to something bad to whoever it was that didn't respond was the bad one.
Right. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Unique names, I think, are special. Julianne is one of those. It's nice to see the whole name on print instead of just some of it. You know, my middle name is Ed, and I'm not even sure what that means. My mom says it's in the Bible, but I haven't found it even one time. And I'm 37 years old. I haven't found it. So my whole family is jam-packed full of unique names. My brother's son's name is Shakespeare. My son's name is... But you know what? And at first, I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Shakespeare? What are you doing? You know, he's going to have the most ridicule in anybody's life. But you know what? The name fits him so well. And he's just such... his mind is so broad, and what he sees and brings up in conversations is so genuine and poetic. I can't think of him with any other name at all. So Shakespeare fits really, really well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I have a new niece. Her name, they called her Camille.
Okay.
So that they could call her Millie.
Millie.
So they gave her a beautiful name. And they're going to call her by something, you know, I mean to excuse this to anyone who has the name Millie, but they're going to call her by such a common name, Millie, and I don't understand it. I mean, why not Cammy or Cam?
Right.
Why Millie? But hey, you know what? It's their child.
Right. And you know what? That name might turn out to be exactly who she is. When you look at her eyes 10 years down the road, you might say, I can't see you as anybody else. You know?
No, I will never call her Millie. She'll always be Camille, like Camille, or she'll be Camille, like or Cam or something. There's no, I can't. We had someone in our town, like we have a restaurant, and my brother knows this because he lived here.
Okay.
You know, we have this thing, and it's called Mad Millie's.
Mad Millie's?
Yeah, and it's a restaurant that serves fried fish, like fish and chips and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I will always think of her as a fishmonger's wife.
Right. Hey, you belong in a restaurant.
Yeah, no, it's just not going to work for me. I'm going to see the picture of Mad Millie on that building because they had a very specific iconic character, and I'm going to look at that every time I see her. I see, whenever I hear the name Millie, I see that character.
And what is that her middle name or her first name?
It's her first name.
What is her middle name?
Her middle name. Oh, God, you're going to test me?
Okay, so she's got a first name that you will always forget. You'll always remember and never forget. And then she's got a middle name. Because the first name is so wild, you forget the second name altogether.
Yeah, or I just don't know what it is.
That's okay.
Entirely possible.
I'm really horrible with names, but I'm really good with faces. If I see a face, I'll never forget it. But if they say, hey, what's his name? I'm like, man, I have no idea what that dude's name is.
Yeah.
They're like, but he's your brother. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't matter.
Let's just jump right into your book. I know that you've done several interviews in the past. You did like a digital tour for your book. Is that right?
Yeah, like a virtual tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does that work? Explain that for me.
Okay, so essentially what you're doing is you are writing a number of different guest posts, answering interview questions, and then they get placed on different blogs around the blogosphere. So, you know, I mean, first, like, I went to certain different sites. And I mean, I didn't schedule it. It was Callum Monahan, the publicist for Sirens Call Publications,
right,
that actually scheduled everything. And
which is an awesome publication. I have a membership to that, and everything that comes out is just awesome. So I don't know if she goes and handpick the writers that go into that publication, but I have that, and it's awesome.
From what I understand of it, and because now I'm what they call a minion, so I help sometimes with promotion, or I help with editing if they have too much to edit.
Right.
At one time, so I sometimes I'll help with that. So I know that what they do is everything comes in via submissions. They don't go out and they don't actively they don't ask people for things.
Okay.
You know, everything comes in through submission. So in that regard, they're getting what people want to submit. And I think there's just been, I mean, I don't know behind the scenes what happens, but from what I understand, a lot of what they get is like the high quality stuff that you see
right.
ending up in the Sirens Call or ending up in one of their anthologies. So, I mean, it's definitely a company that I really stand behind.
Oh, yeah. It's got great stories, great authors, great artwork. There's a whole lot of stuff that's going on there, actually. And the website is Sirens. Is it just sirenscall.com?
Sirenscallpublications.com.
That's right. Sirenscallpublications.com. And that's one of the first places that I saw you outside of the blog world was on that publication. And so when I read that, I just knew that this was going to be awesome. And then before you know it, I turn on my Kindle, and look what I see. It's Days with the Undead by Julianne Snow. I couldn't believe it because I brought it to my wife. I'm like, look what I just found. She's like, oh, that's so good. I'm so happy for her. So
yeah, it's been an interesting ride, to say the least. So,
well, tell me a little bit about yourself. You're Julianne Snow. You wrote Days with the Undead. You're from Canada.
Yep.
Why zombies? Why zombies and not like killer clowns? Or why zombies and not aliens? Or do you listen to Yanni? Or do you listen to death metal? Or what? Who is Julianne Snow?
Okay, to answer your question, everyone asks this. They're like, why zombies? And my answer is always, why not? You know, I mean, everybody kind of has their own little thing that they saw when they were younger. It was the first thing that really scared them. So that's kind of, they developed that affinity for it. And for me, it was zombies. I watched, at 6 years old, I watched Romero's original Night of the Living Dead.
Holy crap.
And from that point...
6 years old?
Yeah.
Well, no wonder.
That wasn't even the first horror movie I ever watched. Like, that's what people always laugh when I tell them the first horror movie I ever watched, because I didn't even get through it. I still can't watch it to this day. I still can't do it.
Exorcist?
No, my parents sat us all down in front of television. I was about 3 to 4, somewhere in that age.
Okay.
And they popped in the original Alien movie.
Really?
With Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
Yep.
And so Alien is your showstopper. That's where you draw the line.
I love the other films. I know how the first one ends, obviously, because there's additional films afterwards. But after a certain point, there's something within me that I just say to myself, you know what, you're not ready. And at 34 years old, I'm still not ready. And it's because once, it's almost like my imagination, because I have a very vivid imagination. It takes over at that point. And then I'm like back in that moment of being 3 to 4 and thinking to myself, it's too much. And my mind just brings me right back to that point in my childhood, and I cannot get past it. But the second one, I mean, I know pretty much the entire dialogue of the second one because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the characters are the best. So, I mean, everyone has their little thing, and a lot of people won't admit it. But I'll admit that I cannot watch the first Alien movie all the way through.
Do you know about that movie? Can I tell you? Do you know who designed that alien?
Wasn't it Sam Winston?
His name is H.R. Geiger. The guy who actually designed who drew the first concept of the alien. His name is H.R. Geiger, and he used to hang out with people that did acid and LSD all the time. And so, literally, him and what's that guy who painted the picture with the dripping clocks and the elephants with the big long stilt legs and stuff? What's that dude's name?
That's Dolly. I think that's Salvador Dolly.
Okay, so these two guys knew each other, or one died and one came up after him, but they studied each other's work. At one point, and H.R. Geiger's the guy who designed the alien concept. Well, this guy, H.R. Geiger, will straight up tell you to your face, oh yeah, the design for Alien I picked up when I was like in the 6th gate of hell, because I had a free tour there because of my artwork, and like the devil came to me and said that I could walk through hell. And so that's like from the 6th gate of hell. And so you're not the first person that said no way to aliens, because there's something inside that design that speaks to them on the inside that they just can't do it. That's why they have...
That's so interesting.
There's no eyeballs. If you realize there's no eyeballs on that alien. And so you can't look into its soul. You know, you can look at somebody and tell if they're good or bad. Well, you can't do it with the alien concept, because it's only one thing, which is a weird kind of... It's weird, you know?
Yeah.
So think about that.
I never thought of that. Like, personally, like, if I met an alien, in real life, like one of those things, I would just turn my head and wait for that little, like, snappy mouth thing to come out and kill me.
Right, yeah. Snap.
I wouldn't even try to run. I would just be like, I know that it is over.
Yep.
I mean, with a zombie, I'm prepared to run, but with an alien like that, I've seen what it does. I would just rather be dead, because I literally probably would be paralyzed with fear if I saw it.
Yeah, it's so weird. Aliens do the same thing to some people that zombies do to others. I think my personal fear, biggest fear in the whole wide world, is to look outside my door and to have aliens walk through the fog at 2 o'clock in the morning, because I would know that my greatest fear had come to life. And so my whole life, that's the first thing that scared the crap out of me. Aliens is very, very scary. Of course, I can't watch Exorcist. I can watch Exorcist 2 and 3 and 4 and however many there is in the library. But because, like you said, the other ones are just comedies.
Yeah, they build on that initial idea, but it's that initial idea that holds that fear. And I mean, a lot of people think that, some of the sequels are more scarier in even any of the franchises that there are. But I still maintain that it's that first one that really grabs you. Like, I mean, going back to Night of the Living Dead, it's in black and white. It's probably the most realistic zombie in what I would think they would act like would be. And, just the fact that they're moving at such a pace where, my brain goes, okay, that's how a dead person would move if it were to walk. It would be slow. It would be jerking. It would be all those kinds of things.
Right.
It just gets down inside of your soul, so to speak, and just grabs you with those icy fingers of terror and says, okay, here we go. Hold on.
You know what scares me about Romero's idea, his angle, is there's so many times inside that movie where the zombies come up, and it's so different from today, but there's no freaking music. All there is bones crunching and flesh ripping and blood splatting, and there's a scream every now and then, but there's no music. There might be a really low hum in the background, but the fact that there's no theatrical music on top of the horror, that freaks the crap out of me.
Well, it's good that you point that out, because in our everyday lives, we don't have a soundtrack. So if you want something to be infinitely scarier, you have to put yourself into that as much as you can. And without a soundtrack,
man,
it reads more to real life than anything else.
Right.
Because, music is used to obviously good effect in quite a lot of movies, because, we've all seen them, we've all jumped, we've all done what we've had to do, watching them and whatnot. But when you take out that absence, and it's almost like an absence of one of your senses. So you focus more on the flesh ripping, you focus more on the screams, on the bones crunching, on all of that it puts you more in the moment than anything else. Because if you had the music to kind of focus on, you wouldn't get as involved in it